Hi, I'm Jeannie.
And I'm Danny.
And we are Beauties and the Podcast.
Hi, welcome back to Beauties and the Podcast, where we will be discussing The Reluctant Dragon. Again, this is a part 2 to the previous beginning portion of The Reluctant Dragon that we started in the last episode. We got a little carried away with this one.
We like it.
It's a great film. I recommend it.
And with that, we'll start back up with the movie breakdown. He has the stuff. He again escapes Humphrey.
Oh my gosh.
And goes out in the hallway. And he hears a baby crying. And this lady walks by in a nurse's uniform, and he goes, well, if I didn't know how they made sound effects, I would be surprised by that baby sound.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, yeah, ha, ha, ha. And she's holding a tray, and he looks at it, and then he becomes very confused, because on the tray is baby formula, baby food, like all this.
Rattles, some burping cloths.
And he's like, huh? And so she's like, can you open this door for me, please?
Yep.
And they walk in. And there is a baby on the table. So there's legit a baby.
In a hat.
In a hat. In a graduation cap. And this room is a storyboard department where a group of storymen, one of whom is portrayed by Alan Ladd, an American actor and film and television producer. And they are sketching this baby in the graduation cap. And then they switch to a top hat.
My favorite.
Which gave, if you've ever seen, what is that called? Rudolph and the Happy New Year. It's a Frank and Bass Christmas movie. It's a claymation. The baby in that has a top hat, and it's very, it just gives me the same vibes. It's hilarious. It's like, that looks like a live version of the baby. Anyway, so they're drawing the baby. The baby gets to be fussy, and the nurse is like, it's only 15 minutes. You know how it is. I'm going to take him to get rest. In the meantime, Robert is about to leave, and they're like, no. Do you know what this story's about? He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, we need to tell you the story.
Perfect.
You're a new set of eyes and ears. Let me tell you. Which then begins the next new short film, or little short video, which is on Baby Weems.
This is honestly not my favorite. I thought it was okay.
It's okay.
But I think I've seen a lot of shorts, a lot of Disney shorts.
Yeah.
New and now old. And I guess if you're including
Pixar shorts.
So if you're including anything that has a short to it, this one is probably one on the it's close to the bottom. It was not my favorite.
Yeah, it has its moments that are like, that's funny.
Yeah.
But it's not anything special. Now, this is different than Casey because it's in color.
Yes.
And it's different than Casey because Casey's was the actual video that they were just adding sound to. This one is just pictures.
Yep, it's pictures that they have to go from one photo to the next photo to the next photo, telling the story.
Yeah, and it's so very limited.
Yep.
In its animation.
Yes. Yeah, and it was they told him, they're like, it's in picture form, so you're gonna have to imagine all the animation.
Yeah, it starts way up here and it ends way down there. And I believe somewhere on the walls, and I would have to go back and look, there are other drawings.
Yes, there are.
Of movies, but I can't recall what those ones are.
Nope, couldn't tell you. I think there was some, I want to say there was some Fantasia. Fantasia's all over this film.
Yeah, it is. And, it should be. They just finished it, and there's so much that went into it. That was kind of Walt's baby. But, anyway, so, Baby Weems. Would you like to tell them about Baby Weems? And
goodness.
I know, it's not your favorite, but...
It's not. it comes close to The Sorcerer's Apprentice to me.
Okay. Okay. And if you watched our Fantasia breakdown,
you will know how much I love The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Love it.
So the Baby Weems short starts with there's an expecting father that is waiting very nervously outside of a hospital room where his wife is giving birth to, obviously, their firstborn child. And he gets all excited because they're like, it's a boy. So he's all excited. Mm-hmm. You know, he throws himself off of his chair. But once this baby's born, all of a sudden, he is in this nursery, like where they take all the babies, and all the babies are crying. And the nurse is like...
Which, Mama Sue brought this up to me when we were watching it. Did you notice how diverse the babies were?
I did not.
There are Asian babies, there's black babies, there's white babies. Like, it's super diverse. I mean...
I didn't notice that.
For that type of movie, like that early on, to be so, like, diverse and, like, accurate.
That's awesome.
Is cool.
Yeah.
Especially knowing Disney, how it can be a little bit...
Especially knowing what's about to come up in this.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So there are so many babies that are just packed into this the nursery, and all of them are crying except for this one, and they're just like, "Oh, you're so quiet." And all of a sudden, he speaks in full-on adult English, not baby talk, not crying, not cooing, full-on talking like I am right now in full English. And the nurse is paging all these doctors. So there's Dr. Hughes, Dr. Livingston, Dr. Crumpf, Dr. Shapiro, Dr. Jekyll, Dr. Chromkite, which, yeah, she called Dr. Jekyll. If you don't know who Dr. Jekyll is, please look that one up, and that's a whole nother conversation. And Dr. Shapiro.
Yeah, and they show like the close-up of the speaker and like their names popping up. So there is no question that's what she said. That's what she said.
So all the doctors were so amazed and so surprised by this newborn baby, Baby Weems.
Which, what a name. That's his last name, correct?
That is his last name.
So we never really know what his first name is.
No, because parents never got to name him.
That's true.
He was born.
Think of that.
He was born. They're probably like, well, we don't know. We don't have a name yet. Let's wait, until we get to see him more. Like some parents are like, well, we want to, get to know our baby before we know him.
Yeah.
Or name him.
He looks like a...
Yeah. Instead of just naming their kid and be like, that name does not fit you at all.
Right.
So, yeah, they literally, she birthed her kid. They took it to the nursery, and all of a sudden, Baby Weems talks. So, guess what, Mom and Dad? You'll never see Baby Weems because Baby Weems is talking.
You are low on the totem pole.
And that's how it was. Like, Baby Weems was so popular, like, the parents never got to see him at all. Like, he was on the radio, he was on everything. I don't think there was TV. There was no TV back then. Not in every household. It was the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So they would have to try and make appointments. Couldn't do that because Baby Weems was booked. They would try and call in on the radio. Couldn't do that because, again, Baby Weems, too busy. And it was Baby Weems, for some reason, is now the most important and the smartest and the most popular. Like, he's having conferences and talks with Einstein, Mr. Schall, and he's just talking with all these people.
Yeah.
And he's smart. Like,
yeah, he's inventing questions to, like, quiz other, like, students.
Yeah, he's researching biochemistry and bacteriology,
and psychophysics. And he says, I'm research. Like, he speaks like that. He's the one that tells us that's what he's researching.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you see him, he's conducting a concert at Carnegie Hall.
Mm-hmm.
He's got merchandise that is selling.
Oh my God. the bathing suits that are literally diapers, and the beds, the foldable beds that are cribs. Hysterical. That's what I'm saying. There's parts of it that I'm like, that's clever.
Yeah, like they were clever in doing some of this stuff, but still. He's knighted. Baby Weems is knighted. He gets medals, and he's honored, and there's... Oh, yeah, my favorite. He's next to President Washington on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, there he is on Mount Rushmore. Funny. He won the Nobel Prize.
He smashes and reassembles the atom.
Yeah, he smashes and reassembles an atom.
Yeah, he smashes the atom because he throws a baby. He smashes and reassembles the atom.
Yeah, he smashes and reassembles an atom.
Yeah, he smashes the atom because he throws a baby fit, like a baby tantrum, and then the next one is like, oh, but he's okay. He reassembled it.
Totally plausible. Totally.
Yep.
He designs a stratosphere plane. He balanced the country's budget.
Only took a baby.
Only took baby Weems.
Yep. Man, we could use baby Weems.
Bottles of cosmic ray. And somehow abolishes the Dust Bowl.
Oh, I want to know how. Oh, it's so good.
Yep. So then baby Weems gets a phone call. Still has had zero contact with his parents because
his parents go to see him like at a concert or something and scream, and they pull them away. Yep. Oh no, they go to see him at Carnegie Hall. They can't get tickets because it's sold out.
Yeah.
Then they go to see him.
They listen to him on the radio.
Yep. And they got to go see him at a movie, and they're standing at the back. And their silhouette is like cutting into the movie, and so they get kicked out. But no actual contact with their baby.
Mom and Dad have had zero contact with newborn baby Weems at this point. So, baby Weems gets a call from the president to give a speech at the White House, and then he spikes a fever.
Did you notice that the president was, I believe, Roosevelt? You could tell, but yeah. Awesome.
So then he spikes a fever, and then everyone is just hoping and praying that baby Weems is okay.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's panic and distress everywhere
across the world.
Baby Weems has a fever and is sick. This is like announced on the radio. They've got a huge temperature thermometer thing in one of the towns that has this fever.
They have one. Did you notice it was on it was in Paris?
Yes.
On the Eiffel Tower.
Yes. Yep, keeping a constant monitor on that baby's temperature.
Yeah.
All nations' leaders are upset, which most nations' leaders are. They're portrayed as human, except one, which I would assume would be an African of some sort.
It looks like he's from an African tribe.
It looks like something. It looks like the character you would see in The Monkey's Paw. Like, this character is very monkey-like. He's not very human at all. It's very scary and very racist.
Yes.
So racist.
His lips are huge. They're not, like, even lips. It looks kind of like a mix between a monkey and a duck.
Yeah.
Like, and it's smack. And his neck has, like, all the rings, so his neck is super stretched out and long. It's just a horrible depiction of an African tribal person.
It's so
Which
bad.
you would think they would get because they have the zebra centaur and did a very nice job with that, but now all of a sudden they want to be dumb.
They've been depicting Africa very well up until now.
Yeah, they kind of dropped the ball on that one.
So all of a sudden, miraculously, baby Weems's fever went away. He got better. Everybody was cheering and rejoicing. And he was ready to make his speech for the White House. But all of a sudden, baby Weems is cooing like a baby and not speaking like a full-grown adult like he was. And then all of a sudden, there was no more rejoicing. Baby Weems was just a normal baby. They took away all of his fame, gone. Merch, gone.
On sale.
Yeah. On sale. Got it now. His little head on Mount Rushmore,
Blown off.
completely blown up.
Oh, man.
Gone. Everything gone. And he was returned to his mom and dad.
Which they were so happy.
Yep.
So, Alfred Werker, a film director, was loaned out by 20th Century Fox to direct this part of the film, the baby Weems part.
Yep.
And it became the first outside film director to use the storyboard, which the Disney staff had developed from predecessor illustrated scripts during the early 1930s.
Yep.
Which, cuckoo crazy. And the artist draws Robert... Oh, getting ahead of myself. So they finished telling the story of Baby Weems.
Yep.
And he turns around, and one of the artists that are in the room has now drawn Robert again. Not as an elephant, but as a baby. So there's the baby body with the head of Robert on there. And
So now Robert has his coat, his hat, the Reluctant Dragon book. Remember, this is the movie on the Reluctant Dragon. We will get there eventually.
just keep waiting.
He's got his head on an elephant rolled up as a photo. He's got his little clay formation.
The bust, yep.
And now he's got another photo of him as a baby.
Oh, and
And the black centaur.
yes. So Robert's done with that room, moves on to a new room. And in this room,
I liked how he got from, I believe this was the one where he snuck out behind a storyboard.
yes.
I believe that was this
I
one.
think so, too.
The guys helped him escape.
Yeah, he's like, I'm trying to get away from this Humphrey guy.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, really? Like, they seem to understand completely. And, like, the one is trying to distract Humphreys, and the other two have the storyboard, so he opens the door and sneaks out behind the storyboard.
Yeah. So he goes into the next room, and the next room is like an office. It's not really like the other rooms. The other rooms seemed really big. I mean, the last one was kind of on a smaller scale too.
Yeah.
But this one looks like maybe somebody's office or a couple people's offices.
Yeah.
In it, and on the wall
Oh,
is
goodness.
and it's labeled Gallery of Old Masters. And it's basically all these famous paintings, but redone with Donald Duck.
So great.
It's so awesome. And I would love to just be able to see that wall and like look in more depth of what they are.
Yeah.
Because it's a very quick pan. And he brings attention to it, but he only mentions a couple. There is Dancing Ducks by Degas. And if you know Degas, he is famous for his ballet paintings of ballerinas. And then Rembrandt is on there, and
This is my favorite.
he calls it Donald's mother, Whistler's duck.
AKA Whistler's mother.
It's so good. It's so good.
So-
And in the room where this is at, there are animators, Ward Kimball, Fred Moore, and Norm Ferguson, which all were actual employed animators for Disney. And Ward Kimball, he worked for Disney's animated studios, and he was one of Walt Disney's main team animators. Like, he was in the main team. It was known collectively as Disney's 9 old men, so he was one of the 9, the really go-to ones. And he was honored with 2 Academy Awards for Best Animated Short Film. And he is the one that explains that I came in one day and decided I just wanted to recreate some old paintings, but Donald Duck version. And that's why that wall's there. Just for that. No need for it. Not going to be put in a movie. Just 'cause. Which I found awesome. So he's there. Fred Moore, who's also an American artist and character animator for Walt Disney. He was called Freddie. And Norm Ferguson also worked for animator for Walt Disney, and a central contributor to the studio's stylistic development of the 1930s. So these 3 guys are like OG. They've been there from the start. And Robert, he is infatuated with what they're doing, and then he walks up and he watches Kimball animating Goofy. So he's doing Goofy, which then Robert shows him a flip book of Goofy moving. He then shows him the next short.
Love it.
Of Goofy.
Which, I told Cal this, Goofy shorts are my favorite.
Goofy in general is my favorite. The Goofy movie. Yeah. Love it.
But like, even when they were still making Disney the Goofy shorts, like even in the 90s, those were by far like my favorite Goofy short was Goofy setting up his big screen TV for his home theater.
Yeah.
My favorite. Love it.
So they're going to show him and the audience the next one. And it's called How to Ride a Horse.
Love it.
And it's the first of many how-to parodies.
Love it.
In the Goofy series.
Which, again, my favorite Disney series.
And this also has such great... This one I like more than Weems.
Yes.
It has great humor in it.
I think this one's one of my favorites.
It's so good. It gives me very much, again, like Stooges.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest reasons I love this also is the nostalgia for myself. I love it. Like, I think this, of all the shorts, this one is my favorite. Even though the film is called The Reluctant Dragon.
It's so much more than just that.
I love How to Ride a Horse.
Yeah. Well, tell them about How to Ride a Horse.
So, How to Ride a Horse starts by saying that the outside of a horse is good for the inside of a man.
Sure.
Incorrect, but okay. So it talks about how raising a horse is good for your heart and your liver. Again, not true.
And riding him. Okay. Oh my gosh.
So it's literally animated to where when you're on a horse, your heart and your liver are bouncing all over the place. It's fine when the horse is walking, and then all of a sudden the horse trots and it's all over the place. And when it stops, like, one is in your butt and one is in your foot, and then all of a sudden the liver goes from your butt to your foot and joins the heart.
And it's perfect.
So hilarious.
It's good for you.
So Goofy then shows you what all you need to know, or what all you need to wear when you ride a horse, which apparently it only costs $4.98.
Yeah, the little tag like slips out.
Yeah.
Again,
which was a shirt.
Humor. That's so, like,
oh my goodness.
Nobody brought it to attention. You just had to be paying attention and catch those little things.
Yeah. So Goofy shows how to get onto a horse, and at one point, Goofy had offended the horse, and the horse was like, we're not having this. But Goofy shows how to get onto a horse, which is how to bribe a horse, which is with carrots. So Goofy gives the horse carrots, and then he's like, all right, I'm going to try to get on this horse. And the horse is sniffing them, looking for the rest of the carrots, finds them, eats the rest of the carrots that were in his long johns. And then all of a sudden, Goofy is like, I can get on a horse, tries to mount a horse.
Yeah.
So many things go wrong. Like, he tries with a ladder, not successful. Like, the horse is laughing at him. To the horse, this is a joke. Like,
Oh yeah,
never gonna happen, bro.
Nope, he's not letting him.
Yeah, so the horse is just giving him a hard time. He eventually gets on, and all of a sudden he's backwards and his pants are ripped, and the horse looks at Goofy sitting on his back, literally just zips away, leaves the saddle and Goofy in midair, and then zooms back the opposite way so that Goofy is facing the right way. So obviously, the horse cares by now.
He's like, you really need help.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with you.
Yeah. So then they show the horse walking, trotting, galloping, and all of a sudden it pans to slow-mo as if you could see what it's like for someone to ride a horse. And then they try to make the horse jump and use spurs, and the horse is like,
not today.
And the horse, like any typical horse, is like, I'm not feeling jumping today. We're not going to do it. And then, so they're like, well, try it again. And again, he's like, not today. Maybe another time. And in real life, that's how horses really are. Like, horses will
decide not today.
Yeah, depending on how that horse is with you. Yeah, they'll be like, we might walk around. So, but at the end of the day, the horse ends up in a stable, and Goofy learned how to ride a horse, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, we've learned a lot. How to ride a horse was very informative. Not at all.
In cartoon form. But yeah, it's one of my. It's typical if you've seen any of the Goofy shorts. It's just like any Goofy short. Love it.
So RKO later reissued How to Ride a Horse as a standalone short on February 24th, 1950, featuring John McLeish as the narrator and Clarence Nash as Goofy's horse, Percy.
Love it.
Love it. And after viewing the Goofy presentation, Robert gets to see Ferguson, who's also in the room, animate Pluto. And he is animating Pluto by looking into a mirror and panting like a dog.
Yep. Great. It is so great.
He's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm making Pluto.
Yep. And he's watching himself kind of pant back and forth, and as he pants back and forth, he's noticing his head's going back and forth, so that way Pluto's head has to go back and forth.
Yeah, very cool. Clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally you'd be like, okay, I'm going to draw a dog with the tongue, and the tongue is going to go in and out. That's about it. You don't think of other motions that go along with panting, like your head moving back and forth, or the body moving. So it's very interesting.
Very artistic, because they're taking the effort to research and study, and they might not have a dog at that moment, but they're going to they know what panting looks like enough to use themselves in a mirror. So, well, Robert had escaped Humphrey for a while now, but that was short-lived, because now he's back.
And he tells him that he's going to walk in behind him.
Yeah. You can't get away from me.
Yep. You're going to walk in front of me, and you're going to lead the way. And then comes one of my favorite scenes, because I had no clue that this was coming up. So the entire time, Robert's trying to find Walt Disney. So the entire time, he's looking, he's getting distracted. So I'm like, okay, this is probably going to be the whole movie. It's never going to be a thing.
He's never going to get to Disney.
That's what I thought. And then all of a sudden, Humphrey delivers him to Walt Disney himself, and it's Walt Disney himself playing Walt Disney.
Yeah, perfect.
So awesome. Could not see this coming.
And I loved how Walt Disney was portrayed. He had his one leg up, so relaxed.
He's so casual.
I I've never seen him like that. All
No.
the images and like things like that I've seen of him, he's been very, much the wizard. That they had in
I mean,
Fantasia.
the only other movie that I've seen that has portrayed Walt Disney was Saving Mr. Banks.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Fantastic film.
Never.
Absolutely.
I've heard it's good. I've never seen that
Absolutely fantastic. If you've not seen Saving Mr. Banks, which is about how Walt Disney acquired the rights to make Mary Poppins, absolutely fantastic.
That's awesome.
And from some of the things that I've looked up after watching that, it is very much realistic on how it went. And it portrays Walt in a very relaxed, he's a family man. And it explains a lot about Disney and about a lot of
that's cool.
some of the stuff that he's wanted to do and about like some of the films that he's made.
That's cool.
But
I just really liked that he played himself. He looked so relaxed. So they're in a projection room.
Yes.
They're about to watch a new film.
Yes,
the screening of it.
So, and I mean, Albert rocks in there and he introduces himself and Walt Disney's like, oh, yeah. Like, of course I have a meeting with you. Like,
Yeah, what took you so long?
Chill.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, they're bros. Albert is handing him... Robert is handing him literally everything.
Yeah, Disney's like, what you got there?
So everything that is in his hands, including the Black Centaurette that he stole...
And he's like, how'd this get in here?
So he's handing Disney, again, everything that's on his body, which is his hat, his coat, the Reluctant Dragon book...
The reason why you're there.
Exactly. He's handing him the rolled up pictures of him as an elephant and him as a baby, and then his little clay statue.
Mm-hmm.
So all the stuff he's handing Walt Disney, and Walt Disney's holding it like, okay, yeah, I have no problem holding this for you. And then all of a sudden the movie starts and the lights turn down, they just sit down. And Disney just kind of like puts up his feet and is all chilled and like, oh, well, let's watch this. This is the latest.
Yeah. And then they start. And we finally made it.
To the Reluctant Dragon.
To the Reluctant Dragon.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and he never showed him the book.
No.
At all.
No, he got there, he was about to, and then all of a sudden the lights go down, and let's watch this film before we get down to business. And the film is The Reluctant Dragon.
So the film they are screening is a two-reel, 20-minute short based upon the very book that Robert is brought to him. And
how ironic.
The cartoon starts with an introduction by the narrator of the story.
Boy, is the wife gonna be mad when she finds out.
Oh, snap. And Robert's face is like, oh, this is the same story. Okay. And then it cuts to where you're just purely focusing on the Reluctant Dragon. You're good. They're zooming in. You see birds and trees in a field. And you see the main character, one of the main characters, this boy, which I don't believe we ever figure out a name for him.
No, and everything just calls him the boy.
The boy. And he's reading a book about knights and bloodthirsty dragons, and his father runs by him with all these sheep, claiming to have seen a monster. And the boy tells him, it's okay, it's only a dragon. And the father then goes, a dragon, in a Scottish accent. Boy, no accent. Father, Scottish accent.
Father, worried about sheep and a dragon. Father, not worried about the sun.
No, leave the sun. Boy, blonde hair, father, red hair. Like, it's so funny. So the dad takes off to warn the rest of the village, to be like, oh my gosh, there's a dragon. The boy is like, I'll handle it, father, and goes to the dragon's lair.
Yep.
Like, no probs. I've been reading about this in this book.
I can handle this.
So he confronts the dragon. But the dragon is not a ferocious beast. In fact, the dragon is shy, poetry loving, and is taking a bath. And is very surprised to see the boy, and the boy is very surprised to see him. Now, as we talked about earlier in the main book is about a boy, and he goes and talks to the dragon, and the dragon also is very shy and poetry loving. So far, very much like the story.
Yeah.
He befriends the dragon, and then he goes back to the village, and the boy comes to a parade, and in that parade is Sir Giles. And Sir Giles in the story is actually Sir George. Was that what it was?
I think it was.
So that's different.
Yep.
And Sir Giles is also the same knight figurine that we saw earlier.
Yes.
In the figurine where he got Robert got his bust, that room. So Sir Giles is the dragon slayer, and he's going through a parade, and he, the boy, runs to tell the dragon that he should fight Sir Giles.
Yep.
And the dragon's like, I don't fight, so no. And the dragon has a very feminine, like, oh no, demeanor. And the boy goes...
And I think at this point the dragon was he playing the flute with the birds at this point?
Yes, he was playing the flute. So poetry, music loving.
Yep.
Very nice dragon.
Singing with birds.
And the boy goes, useless, goes to see Sir Giles because he's like, I want to fight. Oh yeah, it is St. George, not Sir George.
Okay.
So, Sir Giles is in his house, and he is an old man. He is not
old.
He is not like this. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Very like up and coming knight that slays dragons. He is old. He's been doing this a while.
Yeah. And when you see him like coming into town, he's all in armor.
Yeah, you can't tell.
And he's got like the stance of a very young knight that is a hero.
Yes. So the boy tells Sir Giles that the dragon will never fight, but he wants a fight. And Sir Giles is like, sure, let's go visit the dragon. Not to go fight, but just to talk him into fighting.
Yep.
So Sir Giles and the boy go to the dragon, who is at that time having a picnic.
Yes.
And Sir Giles talks to him and finds out that the dragon loves poetry and lets the dragon know, I too love poetry. So the dragon and Sir Giles serenade each other with poetry. And as soon as the boy gets a chance, he makes up his own poem and recites it to them just so he could get the chance to shout at them, hello, we're here so you guys can arrange a fight.
Yes.
And the dragon is persuaded to come out and talk to Sir Giles about this, because at first he's like, no, I'm not fighting, and packs up his picnic basket and goes into the cave.
Yeah, before anybody could eat anything.
And they convince him, no, come back out. So Sir Giles and the dragon talk some more, and they eventually decide to fight. Like, they convince the dragon.
Yeah.
And the boy and Sir Giles are about to leave, and they're like, yep, we're gonna go fight tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow to fight. And then the dragon realizes, oh shoot, I just agreed to fight.
Yeah. Like,
I was bamboozled. I wasn't expecting this at all.
Yeah.
And he tries to yell back at them and says, no, I changed my mind. But they just, see you later, keep ignoring him and walk away. And the dragon mutters to himself why he can't just keep his big mouth shut. Next day, the villagers gather to watch the fight. And just like in the story, they're placing bets.
Yep.
So that scene is hilarious to me. Just how they have it animated was kind of funny. And Sir Giles arrives, and he's waiting for the dragon. And inside the cave, the dragon is too scared to fight. And he can't breathe fire.
Yeah.
And that's what he's trying to tell the boy. I can't fight because I can't breathe fire.
Yeah.
And
he's too nice. He can't do it.
I can't do it. And the boy gets mad and he calls him a punk poet.
Yep. Which apparently that's...
It ticked him off. It ticked the dragon off big time. And he's like, he just goes, punk poet, punk poet, punk poet. And the dragon's like, I'm not. And all of a sudden, smoke fills the cave.
Smoke, there's flames.
And starts spitting out fire.
And the boy is just not paying attention to it.
Mm-mm.
And then the dragon's like, wait. Say it again.
Punk poet. And the dragon put more fire.
Yep.
So the dragon is like, yay! Jumps for joy. I'm now ferocious. And the fight ensues with Sir Giles chasing the dragon around with his sword and into the cave, which is one of my favorite scenes. So they go into the cave.
Yes.
And they're in the cave and they're drinking tea.
They're having a tea party.
And they're making noises to make it seem that they're fighting.
They're faking a fight while drinking tea. And the horse. Oh my goodness. The horse. His face is like, are you kidding me? Like,
so insulted.
Like,
yeah, like Sir Giles, isn't he like got like a fire and he's like waving a blanket or something to get the smoke wafting out of the cave?
I think so. And the horse is just laying there like, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah, and the dragon is like, ooh, ow, ee, making all these sound effects. Would you like a lump of sugar with your tea? Yeah. Ooh, ah, ee. Yeah. So funny. And it's a little pink tea set, and it's so cute. And then they're like, okay, I guess it's time to continue with this fight. The people are outside. So they run back outside, Dragon, and then Sir Giles. And Sir Giles is going after him, holding his teacup.
Yep, he forgot he had his teacup in hand. And the boy who is in the cave has to literally trade him his teacup for his sword.
Yeah. Which is so funny. He's like, wait, you got the wrong thing.
Yep.
So now they're out in the open in the field, and all these people are watching from afar.
And the dragon is breathing smoke.
Yep, and it's getting smoky and smoky and smoky, like a big cloud around them. And they're charging each other's, and they have this big cloud, and inside the cloud, they dance.
And the horse, again, is like, are you kidding me?
Got to be kidding me.
Right. Like, what is wrong with you two?
So they're dancing, which is so funny. And Sir Giles says, all right, I think it's time for me to slay you.
Yeah.
And the dragon's like, oh, I'm going to die now?
He's so happy.
Excited. And they go, yup. And so they pretend
they leap up. And Sir Giles puts his lance between the arm and the body of the dragon,
which is the same as the book.
Oh,
At the book they make sure to fold it in the crease like a fat roll in the arm, so it looks like he's stabbing him. It's like legit accurate from the book, which is awesome. So they fake stab him, and the audience goes crazy. And after that, the dragon jumps out, performs this like dramatic I'm dead like scene, and the story ends not there, because that would make too much sense.
Yep.
But actually at a pub in the village. So I want to know what happened from that point A to point B.
Yeah, so everybody thought the dragon was slayed, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, hey, let's throw a party for the dragon.
Or like, did they stand up and like bow and like applause like it was a performance? Wouldn't you be mad because you bet?
You just put money on this, like someone's gonna die.
Yeah.
Or,
I would be mad.
Like,
I feel like I'd got gypped. So they're at a pub throwing this party, and they accept the dragon into society, to which the dragon recites a poem, And he says, I promise not to rant or roar and scourge the countryside anymore, which he never did to begin with.
Correct.
He wrote poetry, he played a flute, he had tea parties and picnics. But whatevs. So Sir Giles is drawn by an animator to somewhat resemble Don Quixote, which is really, really funny to me. But yeah, that's how it ends. That's how that short ends, I should say.
Yeah.
Because the movie, that short ends, and
all of a sudden,
we cut scenes.
All of a sudden we're in a car.
With his wife.
Yep, they're driving home. She picked him up. At least she didn't leave him there. She came back from shopping, and he already produced a film.
Yep.
It's already been made.
It's been done. She asked him, what do you have to say about this?
And of course, bringing a closure to Donald Duck, he, in Donald Duck language, says phooey.
Yeah. Oh, phooey.
And
I wish I could speak like Donald Duck. And that was the end. I forgot one of the pervert moments when he was showing, or I should say, she was showing Robert the Bambi picture.
Yeah.
She held it up to her face to show him.
Yeah.
And then she goes, and look, this is how we do the background. She goes to put the background on. What do you think? And he goes, oh, or the first one, when she holds up Bambi, I think he says, oh, it's a beautiful view. Too bad the deer's in it, or something.
Oh, I did not catch that.
And then she puts the background, and she goes, what do you think? And he said, the first background was better. Like, totally hitting on this lady.
Wow, did not catch that.
Yeah. I thought of that after we got past it. Yeah,
wow.
He's a little, play.
Pervy son.
Yeah, a little pervy son.
So Walt needed a low-budget film to generate some income. Since Snow White was one of the most successful motion pictures in 1937, but Fantasia and Pinocchio were not. They were very disappointing when they both came out in 1940, partly because World War II was expanding at this time. So the profits from Snow White were reinvested and put into a building that was larger and much needed in Burbank that was constructed specifically to accommodate Disney production methods and their nearly 800 employees that they had at the time.
Which is really cool that they did that, and then they showed what it was. Like, this is what we put our money for.
Yeah,
towards, this is what we're doing in these big buildings.
Right. So Walt wanted a relatively low-budget film for the summer of 1941 to help generate some income that would help them develop time for the expensive features that were to come out next, which were, at that time, Dumbo, Bambi, and Peter Pan. So during development, the script had underwent several strange rewrites. So while still at their old Hyperion studio, so before the studio in Burbank was built, in 1937, Walt responded to a request from exhibitors in England to make a film that would help answer questions from their patrons on how Mickey Mouse is made. Al Perkins was assigned to script a short film called A Trip Through the Walt Disney Studio. Although it was a matter of fact narrative, it was also successful that they adapted the footage to help promote Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It was natural then that Al Perkins was to be the leading scenarist of this new project. And the basic premise posed for a huge challenge that was debated and revised for months, and then he submitted a variety of treatments for the live action structure. So in one of the breakdowns was, it was May 3rd of 1940, so a full year before this thing had even come out. Action Breakdown had Robert Benchley getting onto the lot to begin a search for Walt. And it even contained an overnight Benchley Lost sequence.
Which, man, that would have just added to this. Because Robert Benchley, if you haven't heard, this is that guy that traveled through the whole studio for this movie. We've talked about it. He is a scatterbrain. He is not reliable.
ADD like crazy.
Him getting lost. Cherry on the top of the cake. Perfect.
So there's originally going to be an overnight Lost sequence in which he fell asleep on the orchestra stage as Leopold Stokowski, again, the conductor from Fantasia, where he was recording Claire de Lune for an update to Fantasia. And in the morning, the studio police found and chased Benchley all over the campus, which that would have been
hilarious,
absolutely awesome. So the feeling that Benchley, so they thought the Benchley short was too much like just a regular comedy, and Walt didn't want a comedy. Like he literally, quote unquote, was like, we do not want a stupid comedy.
Yeah,
this is not a comedy. And he said that the film needed to be at least 1 hour to make it marketable. It's literally just over an hour. And aiming for an entertaining story, the team struggled with more premises and funny situations. Walt cautioned that they were getting away from the point, which the point of this is to show off the brand new facility and plant.
Yeah, like a documentary.
Exactly. And that if they get into too much techno stuff, it's not going to be interesting. People are going to lose focus, which I would agree with.
Yes.
So by May 21st, so just 3 weeks later, the working title had now become A Trip Through the Studio, Benchley Picture. And Al Perkins suggested that if he just started outside the gate and said, come on, I'm going to take you in, it's just a travel log. But it's like a lot of people say, I have a great story for Disney, and he would try to find Walt and is always getting into other things. Work would continue through the script through August of 1940. So Disney agreed on 2 relatively unknown RKO contract players who could be believed as staff members, which
they did a really good job.
They did an absolutely fantastic job. So we bring back Frances Guilford, who played Doris, and she started in this film as unknown. Nobody knew who she was, and she went on to other prominent roles at MGM.
Right. So he kind of started her career. Like made her famous, probably.
Plus, who knows? I mean, this was literally going through an entire production studio. So these 2 people must have learned a lot just by filming this.
Yes.
So Alan Ladd was the second one, who was the Baby Weems story director, who became a big star after this, and he began his big shot was This Gun for Hire, came out in 1942. Never heard of it.
I feel like I've heard of it. It sounds like a dad movie.
It sounds like a dad movie.
I think I've heard of it, but I have
not
the storyline in my head.
I feel like it's a Dad Pat Cal movie.
Yeah, probably.
So Alfred Worker, who was loaned out by 20th Century Fox.
Yep, which we talked about with Baby Weems.
Yeah, he later became the first outside film director to use the storyboard. Did you say this?
I don't think I said he was the first outside. Okay. I think I said they used a storyboard, but
yeah. So he became the very first outside film director to use the storyboard, and the storyboard was developed by the Disney staff from preceding illustrated scripts during the early 1930s. And The Reluctant Dragon was never reissued theatrically, and it was never edited for TV.
Yeah, which is probably why we never saw it. Because there's a lot of Disney movies that I might have not had the VHS, but I would have saw on TV.
Yeah.
Or at least saw it more often on TV than me putting it in the VHS
Or
player.
we would have seen it on the previews for the VHSs because...
Yeah. Right.
So it was
overall, I really enjoyed this movie.
I enjoyed it.
When we first saw this, both of us were like, I don't know what this is about. And when we looked it up, the thing that came up was the short.
Yeah.
The Reluctant Dragon short. And we're like, oh, this is a cartoon. This looks like something we are interested in.
Yeah.
But then I go to play it on Disney Plus, and it is not just a cartoon.
Yeah.
It's a live action black and white. It was quite a surprise and turned out to be way more interesting in the long run. I feel like if I had just seen the short or a longer version of the Reluctant Dragon movie short into a full movie, I don't think I would have liked it as much.
No, and I do think I read somewhere that the Reluctant Dragon short is on its own somewhere.
Yes, I think so too.
So, but I think anybody that, even if they enjoy like the Fantasia, because those are little shorts too, anybody that loves shorts, this is...
Yes, but
like,
for me, it was better than Fantasia because
they had stories. They were stories with words, and they were actual things. Like, it wasn't like Fantasia where like
it was built into a storyline of Robert.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but anybody who loves any type of short, like, honestly, I think they could probably bring this back today.
Yeah, I think so too. Or if you're really interested in behind the scenes, how they do things, how it was in the past, how film has changed in, however many years. Like, this is a great show. If you like Three Stooges comedy, great show. Yeah. Just so much. If you just like Disney and learning more about Disney process and the characters and who voiced them and who were the artists.
For additional content, find us on Patreon. And we are going to have some more merch coming out because, gotta design stuff. And if you want some of our merch,
we're going to have some Baby Weems merch.
Oh, we could totally.
Just kidding, but maybe.
I might be able to pull off some Baby Weems merch.
We're going to give you some bathing. It's summer season. Bathing suits like Baby Weems. Who wants it?
Diaper bathing suits coming your way. So find us on Facebook and Instagram and Patreon. Click that bell, and don't forget,
Beauty is found within.